building the business turns you into a different kind of human being.
Realize that failure is a part of the journey.
I think there's hope out there for all of us.
They say procrastination be the assassination of destinations. That's why we out here grinding with no association. With haters and them other crabs trying to put us down. Pest badges in the house, boy, don't clown. Just keep your eyes on the prize, ain't no giving up. You can do whatever you dream of. Just keep your eyes on the prize, ain't no giving up.
All right, welcome back to another episode of Pest Control Millionaire. Actually, super excited about this one. Been looking forward to this for a couple months now. John and I met actually through one of my friends out of Arizona. He put me in an email with you. And I was like, how does this? I was trying to make the connection, so you can tell me that in a little bit. And I was like, man, this guy's a stud. And then we talked on the phone for 40 minutes one day, just kind of chatting. And then 3 months go by, we never really talked. And all of a sudden, someone else brought up your name. Like, hey, you really got to meet this guy. And I was like, actually, I've met John before. I'm on the phone. We've had a good conversation. I was like, I really need to get you on the podcast. And a week ago, I finally got this set up. But John Speed, welcome to the show. He owns, I'm going to butcher that. Kilauea Pest Control is the largest local route-based company, pest control company in all of Hawaii. So it could be a lot to talk about, a lot to unpack. John's been in the industry a long time. A lot of value that he can bring to all the listeners and myself. But John Speed, welcome to the show.
Glad to be here. Thanks so much for having me, Jonas. And it's good to be here and chat it up. This will be fun.
It is going to be fun. I know we talked about 10 minutes before the show even started. I'm like, we just got to start hitting record. So much good stuff already. But I have a lot of questions to ask myself selfishly and for the listeners too. Good. So I think it'll be a lot of really good conversation here, but I want to go way back. I want to take it. I'd love to understand what drives people. And when I was young, I was always super competitive. I was driven at a young age. I started wrestling by the time I was 3 years old. Just taught me a lot of discipline, commitment. Got the value of winning, but also the value of losing, and taking some losses, and learning from them, getting better every single day. And it was kind of shaping who I was, even though I didn't really know it. I spent a lot of time growing up on a farm. So a lot of summers, I didn't have a job per se when I was young, really young, 8 to 12 years old. But we were pounding fence posts. We were baling hay and just sweating, not getting paid. But it showed you a value of a true hard day's worth of work where you could look back and you can see the line of fence posts that you put in. So I want to know what your come up was like when you were young. You're young, you're a hustler, you got your MBA, got your undergrad, you did a little bit of door to door. I'm going to pause at door to door. How did you get into door to door?
Okay, so door to door, my brother again started doing door to door. He was up in Provo, and that was the beginning of the Eclipse marketing, going for Orkin and all that good stuff.
Yeah.
And so he did that for a year. He talked me into doing it, and he was really good at it. I was good enough just to kind of be there and make enough money to where it really sucked, but it was worth it to come back.
Right. How many summers did you do that for?
I did it for 4 years, and then I started my business. And by that time, my brother had sold his first business. He had it for 2 years, sold it, came out to Hawaii for a couple of months and helped me get started up.
Gotcha. So if you and I are juniors and seniors in high school, going back to the original question, who were you then?
Yeah.
I know you said you weren't the smartest of your family, but you obviously got your MBA, your undergrad, you're a smart guy, super successful now. You took some losses along the way. Talk me through that.
I just liked an adventure, I guess. So I was always building skateboard ramps or half pipes and things, and just trying to get the most out of that side of life. And I learned to. I grew up in Southeast Texas, right? Nothing's really going on there, but I had an aunt that lived in Switzerland. And she would bring my cousins every couple of years. They'd come visit. And so it's cool to see what they were up to, have a vision of the outside world a little bit. And then I went to go visit them as a junior, senior in high school. And I think that was pretty pivotal for me because it got me out for one. And once I got out, I was like, I went and I served a mission for my church in the US. But then after that, I lived in Korea for a year. I taught English. I went back to school or went to school in Hawaii. I went back and lived for a year in China and did a program out there and learned Chinese a little bit. And
Yeah, what was it? Did you go to China to teach English?
no, it was through a program through BYU Hawaii.
Gotcha.
So during my time in Korea, I decided, hey, I want to learn Chinese. So when I went to Hawaii, I took a Chinese class and I learned about a program that was not many people knew about it, but they would definitely, hey, if you took these classes, you could go to China. And so I did that. And the girl I was dating at the time, I had come out and we went to different parts of China, but then we got engaged and after we got married. So I met my wife in Hawaii, but we spent the first few months of our marriage in China.
What was China like? I've never been there, so.
So this is 1998, 99. And I lived in Shenzhen, which was very modern at the time. It's just across from Hong Kong. So I go down to Hong Kong on the weekends and hang out. But Hong Kong was super, super cool. But the energy and the hustle, like Shenzhen is an economic zone. And so even people in China, they couldn't actually go. It was kind of like Hong Kong. You can't actually go to Shenzhen if you don't have a resident card or whatnot. And so, yeah, and a lot of stuff is made in just that southern China area that then they ship to Shenzhen and ship out or ship to Hong Kong. And so that was super interesting. So I got to kind of see that side of like distribution and just opportunity there. And then my fiance / and then wife was going to school in Xi'an, and I went there to school for after we were married. And that was the ancient capital. That was before Beijing was the capital. And so they have like the terracotta warriors and just a lot of history. And we were able to travel a bit and go out to like the desert, like Western China, a little bit and see some of the Muslim and the other areas that usually you wouldn't
Right.
see.
Can you still speak Chinese today?
No, I can get it around in a taxi and
Yeah.
get a massage. That's about it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Kind of the same thing with me though, honestly. Like, before we talked before the podcast started, and coming from a really small town, I just didn't really know any different. And then all of a sudden, my mentor flies me into Dallas. I'm like, holy man, this is a big world. And so you just don't know what you don't know. And then recently went to New York and New Jersey twice in a row, and it's the energy there is, I don't know if it's similar to what you were used to in China, but the energy and the buzz in New York is on a just different level. It is so big and there's so much money and so much going on. It's absolutely incredible. Hold up, quick pause. If you're on a pest control company or fertilization weed control company, you're not in our Facebook group, you're choosing the harder path. Every operator that's in there is skipping years of mistakes because people are actually sharing what's working right now. So stop trying to brute force your way through growth alone. Search Pest Control Millionaires on Facebook or click the link below. And now let's get back to it. So when you talk about door-to-door, what was door-to-door like back then? I know you probably don't do any door-to-door now, but what was it like back then? Like paper contract, was it easier? Was it harder? Like,
I would say is probably easier. And it's funny to say there was less competition, but we were in Orange County. So there was still a ton of competition. There's still your re-knocking area. You're having, 4 or 5 other companies go in behind you at the time. And so it was challenging, but, and then in Orange County, there was always brand new home areas. So I got kind of used to that. And
yeah. New homes are always fun to run into. No, they've never been knocked before. They have new houses. Perfect. So you went and did that for 4 years. So I'm assuming you knocked pest control, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so that's where you got your teeth wet in pest control. And then you do door to door for 4 years, and then you go start your own company. Where did you start your first company? Was it right in Hawaii?
Yeah, I was in Hawaii. So started the company here and was able to get the license. Super hard to get a license in Hawaii. And so I just got lucky with some stuff. But once you have the license, you're in, and I could see it. And my brother had scaled a business in 2 years to probably 7, 8 routes. And so for that, I was like, hey, I won't be able to do that. I won't be able to play that game, but I'm going to be the technician and I'm not going to lose a customer. Right. So, and like I said, door to door was super tough for me. So I didn't want to do it. I really didn't do it for myself. I would train other people. I always thought, hey, you could hire somebody at BYU Hawaii that's like me, went to school there, but went to the mainland or whatever and sold, and then come back to school, and you could be able to, do some off-season selling. So, but that didn't work out too much either.
Gotcha. Your brother's company, where was that at?
That was in Orange County.
It was in Orange County. So you were knocking for his company then?
So I knocked for working for a couple of years with Eclipse, and then my brother started his company, worked for him for 2 years, and then he sold it.
And then you're like, now I gotta go find something to do. So you decided it'd be a good idea to go start a pest control company in Hawaii.
Yeah, I like options, right? So
Sure.
That was kind of plan A, but then I was set up to go do an MBA in San Diego State, and so, but once I got the license, I was like, okay, I can see not millions of dollars, but hey, I can go live in Hawaii and I can have a decent job. We're not going to go hungry. We can stay here for as long as we want. And my wife is from Oregon, and she loves Hawaii and is never going to leave. Our kids have grown up here, but
yeah, you're going to go do an MBA doing what? Do you remember?
Just a general MBA. So just do more education, right? And just expand the opportunities, right? And so what happened with that was I started my business, was growing it, and kind of growing it slow, but my MCAT, or not my MCAT, my GMAT was coming up. It was like good for 5 years, and so I was like, well, I'm never going to take that test again. So if I'm going to do something, I'll do it now. So I got into school at University of Hawaii and finished that up.
And are you glad that you did that? Or was it helpful in your entrepreneur career today?
You got to do something, right? So I think given the same 3 years, it's good to just keep your head in it and keep learning and give you more experience. So my thing is, if I hadn't have done that, I probably would have just watched more movies, right? So
right.
Keeping you engaged.
Yeah, for sure. I like that. Just keeping your mind busy and focused on something for sure. And then from there, like, you go start your company in Hawaii. What is the first year like? How are you getting customers? What were you doing for marketing way back in the day? I know you weren't doing door to door. You said you're growing slow. Like, walk me through that.
I didn't do anything. My brother got me like 120 accounts.
So your brother came over and knocked doors for you?
He came over and knocked doors, and so he was here for like 2 months. And then he and I and my buddy that came out to also sell, we went to Palau, went scuba diving. They went home, and I just started teching. And I was like, hey, we don't have a whole lot of overhead. We have this business. And I can just remember at the time, not maybe that first year, but even like several years into it, like, hey, if somebody gave me a loan of $50,000, I wouldn't even know what to do with it, right? I wouldn't, like, I put it into marketing. What kind of marketing? When I was on the come up, it was Yellow Pages, right? And so you open the Yellow Pages, and these guys have these full page ads. I'm just like, hey, I'm just not going to do that. One thing I did do from the very beginning, which wasn't helpful, but I had a website because my degree is in information systems. So I was able to, knock out a website. And even at that time, I really didn't get online sales, right? And there really wasn't online sales too much. So it was just an informational website. But and this is a no-brainer now, right? But very early on Google reviews, we got a ton of reviews. And we got it to where we could get different locations and things and set that up. But this is like 10 years into the business, right? This is,
So what year is this? Like 10 years in?
10 years in. So that's probably 2012, 2013.
Yeah.
And
so like, was it 08? Like, I'm trying to think of like, it was 08 or 09 or 2010 when like the .com bubble happened where everything just kind of blew up online. Were you there through that? Like, I'm assuming, yeah, you got tons, like you're probably one of the first ones online.
Yeah. So 98, 99. Yeah. So when I graduated in 2000, that was the .com bubble burst. And I was trying to get into, Intel. I was up in Portland. And so Intel and some of these other companies, and nobody's hiring. Right. So I'm like, well, I guess I'll go back to pest control. I can do that.
So you're getting a ton of reviews online and you're growing slow organically. And then what happens? Obviously the mindset shift happens somewhere, something happens where like, okay, I'm going to go grow this thing.
Yeah. So, well, and I had seen my brother grow, I'd seen, the door-to-door thing, but I just didn't know where to find information. And I'm out here in the middle of nowhere, right? And you're out in Hawaii. So it's not like you really we do have a state association, but in Hawaii, your competition isn't very fierce either, right? So there was no real mentorship. There was not a whole lot. I mean, there wasn't Facebook or social media or any kind of these groups or podcasts or anything like that. So you're in the desert, really. And so that's one thing just on my own, I guess, is when I remember turning 36 and I was like, man, 36, that is closer to 40 than to 30. So I was like, okay, what am I going to do in the next 4 years? And let me think how long ago that was. That was 9 years ago. So that's about, that's about that, where we're up to maybe $1 million in revenue, which is nice, but it's still very hard at $1 million, but I had been doing it so long that it was pretty, I had some good systems, some good people, but it's not really enough to pay management or anything good like that. And so,
it's usually like 3 techs and yourself.
Yeah. But I had seen my brother sell part of his business, like sitting at the table in San Diego. He sold a couple of routes to Lloyd's. And so I was there and so, okay, this is a thing, this happens. And so, so even from the get-go, when I say I didn't do anything my first year, there was one thing that I did, and that's I did buy a very small company. And the guy had moved to the Big Island, and I just reached out and said, hey, I'll buy your customer list off you. And he didn't really get back with me. And then I approached him 2 or 3 months later, and this is when some customers had come off and he needed the money. And so he was like, okay, we'll do it. We'll figure it out. And so bought his customer, and I only got like 20 customers off of it or something, but it was something that when they come up, I have a decent enough relationship with a lot of people in the industry that people know that I will buy a business or two if it's, if it looks good. So yeah, that was, I guess on the come up, we've done like maybe 9 acquisitions so far in the 23 years I've been in business. But one of those was about that time, about maybe 12, 13 years ago. And we got a lot of hotels out of that one. And so it wasn't super profitable work, but it was something new, right? So just putting yourself in a different opportunity to grow, right?
Yeah.
Is good.
Yeah. You almost like you put yourself in a constraint and it makes you grow, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So you learned a lot because now you're getting some commercial work. You can raise prices. You can go get more commercial work. I didn't even ask that question. What is your revenue? I don't need your revenue number, but your revenue split between commercial and residential.
Well, we're PCT top 100, so you can look it up. We'll do 11. We'll do 11 million this year. The split is like 40, probably 35% termite work. Most of that is not reoccurring, but this is during the pandemic. I decided I kind of like to, zig when others are zagging, right? And so
Yeah.
I was like, hey,
Yeah.
pest control, residential is going crazy. What's not going crazy right now? And that's commercial. There's a lot of, restaurants going out of business. And so I want to go into commercial business. And so I hired, and we had always done a little bit of commercial, but I was like, hey, I want to hire a commercial specific manager. And that's our fastest growing segment the last 4 years.
Really?
Yeah. And so, because when we were doing commercial work before, when I was kind of in charge, I mean, I haven't been in the field or even really in operations for probably the last 10 years, but really, I wasn't going to hire or do night work and have a situation where somebody was calling me in the middle of the night.
Right.
I needed to
Yeah,
hire.
if you get
somebody.
a phone call now at 8:00 on a Saturday, there's a problem.
Yeah.
A big one.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. Which you got to answer. Where did you find that commercial manager? That's you called him, right? Commercial manager, and then kind of tell me the story about that.
Yeah, so that's a good story because it's indicative of a lot of what I've done. And that is for better or for worse, I hire my friends. So this is a guy that was one of my first technicians and worked for me for a couple of years and then moved away, got a couple of master's degrees, moved back. And he had worked for the state and a few other things, but then he was going to start his own business, handyman business. And so I just presented him this other option. And although there wasn't equity, there was profit sharing in it. And I had another one of my managers that had that comp structure, and we're all really good friends. And he makes a lot of money because of the way I've set it up. And it's like, hey, this is going to take some time, but you can, participate in this real upside on the business. And so thank goodness he's come on, and it hasn't been the easiest. It's commercial work. Commercial work's hard, but he thinks a lot differently than I do, and I very much value that. I really enjoy. And when you hire your friends, there's so much trust involved, and so I've heard the story of how, is it James that I met in Orlando? How you met him, and it was like a Facebook, like, hey, do you want mentorship or whatever? And it's like, to be able to connect on that is amazing. That's super cool. And now he's so valuable to your business. And for us, it's different, but it's the same thing. I already have this good trust, and we can kid around with each other, and they know enough to challenge me. And some of my longtime managers they're not coming out and doing like a potluck or something at my house, but we've been in management a long time, and so those guys, they won't push back on me. But the
Which
friends
is what
that
we
are
want,
kids,
right? Yeah.
yeah, and
We don't want, if everyone agrees the 100% you say, you're not going to get anywhere. You want people to challenge your opinion.
well, I have so many bad opinions,
Exactly. Yeah, we don't know everything, but we want to be pushed against. Like,
Tell me
we'll
where
come
I'm
up with the
wrong.
idea. Exactly. Absolutely. I agree with you. Was he really good, like right out of the gate of getting commercial work, or did it take some time?
Well, we have a pretty good name here in Hawaii, and so we already had that. And so it's interesting. Our marketing budget is super low, and we get a very high ROI on that. And that's where we've come from, where we didn't have the money, right? But now it's at a point where it's like the difference in optimization and maximization, right? It's like you can be really good and have that massive ROI, but you can't get really any bigger. And the additional effort you put in is not as good as the earlier stuff, right? So
Right.
that's the thing where when you're maximizing, you have to like do some things that aren't going to ROI as good and are going to be harder, but ultimately that's what you have to do to grow. And especially in this market, that's the challenge with Hawaii is
Yeah,
it's
That's what I was going to ask you. What is the population of where you're at?
It's 1 million people on Oahu, and it's not like you can really easily send a technician to another island really easily, right?
Right. How
It's
far is the
it,
closest island?
the closest island is probably 15 miles away, but that's 18,000 people on that island. Like, it's not worth really going to. Um, to make money, right? We actually have a technician on that island. We bought a company 3 years ago that was on Maui, and so we have a presence on Maui, and we're growing that. We're excited, but the other neighbor islands, it's very difficult to get labor, and it's very expensive, and it's even harder to get management. And so there's so much business on Oahu um, available that's easier than going to a neighbor island. And so we probably will not go into other neighbor islands.
Yeah, because I mean,
Um,
a million people is it's pretty big market still. You got room to move.
yeah, but that's it, right?
Yeah,
And
right.
so my guess is that there's probably between 80 and $100 million in annual revenue on Oahu in a year. And so how much of that can you get? Can you get 50% of it? Like, the Terminex probably has a third of that here, and they're by far the biggest company.
And I know you said there's another large competitor that's local, but they do all fumigation too. You guys never got into that.
No, we didn't, and we still look at it even now. There's other opportunities that come up,
Yeah,
but
that's a liability in itself.
it's a liability, it's a headache, and frankly, the guys in Hawaii are the best at doing it. And so I'm going to try to compete with them on something that's super difficult and not that it is good money, but it doesn't build value in the business really. It's not really worth anything. And so I'd rather put our efforts towards, the reoccurring side, of course. But there is a lot of termite work in Hawaii, and so you can't dismiss it. And so we subcontracted, and our partners that we work with, we give them a lot of business, and we make pretty decent money from it. So
Yeah, that's awesome. Um, so do you service all of Maui then, or is there a certain part you don't service yet?
it's a good question. We service everything because the company we bought, I mean, they will go out. We have some customers in Hana, and so the guy will drive out to Hana, do the work, stay the night, and do the next day, and then come back and then do that again the next month. Just the 2 days out in Hana. So
Yeah, how far is that? Like hour? Is it further than I don't know. Like I've never been to Hawaii, so how far is it from one side of the island to the other?
from basically from anywhere Wailuku to Hana is probably 2 hours, a couple hours, 2.5 hours. But it's very, very windy, and it's a slow trek. It's great if you're vacationing.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, and what are the most common insects you guys deal with? I know there's termites, but is there a little bit of everything over there because it's so warm all the time? Or what are you guys usually dealing with?
Yeah, yeah. There's a lot. There's a ton of ants, ton of roaches. It's temperate year round, right? So we don't. It's not too seasonal. We have more kind of a rainier season,
Which is
and
winter, right? You
in
said.
in the winter, right? And then in
How do
the
you
summers,
like that brings a lot of challenges in itself, right? How are you guys servicing in a lot of like kind of like Florida, like it's raining all the time. Like how do you guys service?
if we're servicing and it's just regular rain, um, you just kind of either work through it or nowadays guys like to take off. They don't want 40 hours. I want them to have 40 hours, but they don't want 40 hours. So it's, we used to worry about that and try to get rainy day protocols, and they can work in the office or something, but most people don't really care. But in the summers, sometimes there's no wind, and so it gets super hot. So that's kind of the other side of it. But yeah, rain, people, and it. Well, I'll say this: when there's no wind, it will sit there and dump, and which it's been doing the last couple of days. And so when that happens, um, then you just take the day off. But otherwise, if it's just sprinkling, it's probably like in Florida, you just kind of power through.
Right, right. The fires, was it last year, 2 years ago? How long has it been now since all the fires?
Yeah, it's like it was 3 years ago.
Damn,
3 years ago.
time goes by
Yeah.
fast. Were you close to that?
So we had bought the Maui company. So that was Maui, right? And we bought that company maybe 3 or 4 months before that. And so we lost, I think, 10% of our customers from the fires. And that, I mean, that island still hasn't recovered. Um, Economically, it's still struggling. Big Islands, the economy there is really good. Oahu, but Maui's, yeah, it's still challenging over there. So we're still doing the work, and it's fine. I don't want to sound like it, you know, the loss of revenue is like negligible, but what the people have been through over there is just horrible, and um, we do what we can.
Yeah. What are the biggest challenges that you guys deal with on the islands? Like, I know you mentioned labor. Is it really tough there?
Yeah, it has gotten better the last year. I think like with everywhere, but you know, I'll say this, and it's a some of the this may resonate with folks out there, but our bottom line this year is probably the worst it's ever been percentage wise, because we're so excited that we can get labor that we're just still hiring, right? And so the inside of the business is awesome. Like the customer service has never been better. We're doing some extra things, the sales and the outbound stuff, and we're still growing, so it's good. But that labor is expensive, right? But after COVID and everything that's gone on through there, and not being able to get labor, yeah, it is making that change, but it's what you haven't had, you want, right?
Yeah, I agree. Um, Outside of labor, like, what's your biggest challenge right now?
Well, for Kilauea, that's our main company. Um,
I don't mean to cut you off. Did you rebrand all the other companies that you bought to Kilauea too?
yeah, yeah. The Maui company is still Bugman, but it's Bugman by Kilauea, so it's a real slow roll out there. And the employees want us to switch it over. We've had it for 3 years, so I think we'll probably do that soon. And it doesn't really matter about that too much.
Like, thinking back on that, do you wish you'd just ripped the Band-Aid off right away?
No, because we didn't know. And I mean, there's some very unique things out here. Like, I didn't know, but I do know that if for some reason, if this great opportunity came up on Kauai or the Big Island, I would never change the name. I would not want them to know, because people on those neighbor islands, they are hyper local, and they don't even want an Oahu company coming to their island, right? So it's all super local. And Maui, my guess was that it was more not like that. And I think that's correct after having been there and worked there for 3 years. But but we didn't know. And so we didn't know if we were going to flip it, or we just wanted to keep our options open
Yeah,
with
that's
that.
smart. And so now that you know that, you're like, okay, well, now we can switch it. And wouldn't
Yeah,
even make a
yeah.
difference. Gotcha.
It's not a big deal, but the business was there for 30 years, so it has massive brand
Yeah,
recognition.
right. And that's how I was thinking. Like, that's what was going on in the back of my head. Like, you're a bigger company. Um, your brand probably carried a lot more weight than their brand, but it sounds like it's there for 30 years. You probably didn't. Maybe their brand carried more weight than yours. But now you say, like, they're just not. They don't really care as much as you thought they would. Just rebrand it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, that's what another question for you. PCT Top 100. Why did you decide to put yourself on there?
It was kind of a goal. You just see, I'm just getting into the business again. I didn't grow super fast, and I really wasn't concerned about that. But when you find like you can do something well and you're successful at it, um, then it does open doors, right? So I went to the PCT Top 100 event that they had, and it was just for those companies, and so I got to to really spend some quality time with those big companies. Now I'm in the U group and I'm in different, I generally do Pest World and I'm out there, but that was an opportunity that most companies don't get to have. So I
Yeah.
wanted into that.
Yeah, the only reason I ask is obviously we've had an opportunity to be on there, and I just kind of shied away from it 'cause I feel like we already have a target on our back. Why do we need a bigger one? So I wanted to hear the other side. Like, and now I'm like, okay, yeah, I like that. It makes sense. Like, it's a tight community of 100 companies. Like some of the best, obviously the best of the best are there. So yeah, networking with those guys is pretty invaluable.
Yeah. Well, and it's one way or another, right? I mean, there are those billionaire families that no one knows about, that they can go out and nobody would recognize them. And then you have the other way where it's all like Mark Cuban is still doing Shark Tank, right? He doesn't need the money, right? But he does need that exposure, right? So if you're going to go one way or another, there are good and bad things to both of those things, right?
Yeah. Was
So,
there anything bad that came from being on the PCT Top 100?
well, if I check my email, it would be getting more emails, but
Yeah, I know what you mean.
that's what you have a good assistant for.
For real. I know what you mean.
No, I don't think there's anything bad. And again, being in Hawaii, like we get to say that we're the only. There might be a company bigger than us, but I don't know because they're not on the list, right? So we can say we're on the only Hawaii company on the PCT Top 100 or a Top 100 pest control company.
I love that actually for you guys. Definitely make me think. Is there any door-to-door companies? Because I know you talk about door-to-door, you talk about door-to-door in Hawaii. I've had some friends say that there is a door-to-door company out there. Is there still? Is that a thing out there?
Yeah. So EcoShield's out here. Terminex has a lot of years had a door-to-door presence. And then just in the past couple of years, there's some local companies that have had marketing companies come out. I can't understand paying the 80 or 90% contracts. I can't make that math work for me.
The math doesn't
So
math to anyone unless you have super deep pockets.
yeah, if you're selling your business, it kind of works out. But
Yeah, if you're gonna go PE or you're gonna go stock exchange, whatever. Like I get it. If you're gonna go public, I get it, but
yeah, you can arbitrage it a little bit.
you
But
can, yeah.
but for me, I know enough to be dangerous, right? I have some door to door guys right now, and it's just like 3 guys, and it's maybe 20% of our growth, but you know it's marginal. It's not going to break us if we don't have it, and it's helpful that we do, just to give some competition to like the Eco Shields out there that that do a great job. And for me, it's actually really good to have the competition out here. It makes us so much sharper, when you have door to door, and not necessarily putting a target on anybody's back. I feel like the relationships, definitely the local relationships, are pretty good out here between pest control companies. But yeah, to have a big door to door company that's making the gains, it does expand the market. And it's not necessarily it's good and bad for us, and I choose to see the good in it.
Yeah, and I'm sure. Have you felt it at all? With your pest control company, have you had people switch?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, nobody's perfect, right? We make mistakes, and they're very aggressive. They don't switch over. I do know that just for us, EcoShield has a special. They will do their initial services for free if they're Kilauea customers. So we definitely have a target on us. They definitely want our customers. I don't know that they get a ton.
And how do you combat that?
It's all the effort into quality, just customer service, the training of the technicians, the following up, the management layer. That's probably one of the things that I would say we've done the worst at is middle management, trying to dial that in. One thing that we bought a company like 3 years ago. We bought the Maui company, and then within a month or two, we bought another company the owner of that company came on as a manager for us, and that was super helpful. So he's some of the middle management, and then our termite division. So it's kind of weird, but you know how you have like a location, like a branch, say, and I've heard, Paul talk about like, about 2 million, and you start another branch. Well, in Hawaii, like the cost of real estate is super expensive. And so we have one super branch, right? And it takes care of everything. And so how we've split it up is between departments, not necessarily geographic locations. So our termite department, our commercial department, our residential department all run separate P&Ls. They have a different call center for each one. And it's like 3 different businesses. And so now is probably something, I mean, since you do pest and lawn, we're not into lawn yet, but we've started rolling up pool routes. And so we're dipping our toes into the pools, and we're looking at other home services.
Yeah. Actually, I created a YouTube video on that specifically this morning. Like when you get to where you're at, right, and you got to maximize, it's like, what are the services you can add? Because you can only, like you said, you can only get so big in your market. Then what do you start doing? So I actually made a YouTube video on that this morning. Pretty fun. How often do you get hit up by PE?
I mean, I wouldn't say daily, but weekly for sure.
Yeah. Who's coming at you the most? Who do you hear from the most? My phone rings probably like yours. It's like once, twice, 3 times a week. On a good week, it's every day,
Yeah. I honestly don't look at my email, so I don't know.
Smart, man.
Yeah.
I took myself out of our company email because I couldn't do it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. That's one cool thing in the last, I guess I hired them in this summer, but I've had an assistant for about 6 months now that does my email and starting to run my calendar and do some of the, and I'm kind of a control freak. I do a lot of travel. And so I like specific things, but kind of giving that up has been pretty freeing. And honestly, I wasn't that good at email before. So a net benefit to everybody that somebody else is running that.
Does she how does she do it? She just texts you and there's an important email?
Yeah.
Yeah, I figured.
Yeah. Yeah.
When and where did you find the U group? And how impactful has that been for you? I know you and I talked about this offline a little bit, but
yeah. So so when I started my company, my brother was selling his. And so I bought a truck, and I bought a compact disc of SmartBiz. It's an old software that was from FMC, the FMZ, the chemical.
Yeah.
So I had this SmartBiz, and we used it for so many years that they stopped. I mean, after a couple of years, they stopped supporting it, and then you couldn't even get it. And so I had to buy used computers on eBay so that would even run our software, right? And so at some point you're like, okay, well, we need to be on the smartphones and that sort of thing. This was probably like maybe 8 years ago. And so I looked at PestPack, I looked at ServSuite, and on the ServSuite website at the bottom, they say, hey, these companies use our product. So I called up Arizona Pest Control. It was one of the companies, and they put me right through to the owner, and Bruce Tenenbaum talked to me for like at least a couple of hours about so much stuff. And this is like we were kind of talking about before, that I didn't have like a mentor or anybody, or just anybody to talk, a non-competitor about the biz. And so during the conversation with Bruce, he was telling me about the U group, and he was a founding member. And he's like, hey, when you get to $1.5 million or 2 million, something like that, you can join the U group. And so at that point I was like, okay, I got to get to whatever it is, $1.5 million to join these guys. And so it took me a year or two, and joined the group. And since then it's been super helpful. It's like everybody does things so differently, and that's good and bad, right? you can see where, I mean, we meet twice a year, and you get to know the guys and the different way they run their business, right? And there's some things that are like, hey, that's so cool. I don't think I can do that in my business, but what else can I learn from it? And then the other side of like, oh, that's why the growth isn't there, or hey, you're spending all this money on a certain whatever that is function, and is that playing out? And I can see that we're growing a lot, and compared to maybe some of the other groups, but it's not. I think it's way less me and more that I'm in Hawaii and there's not a lot of competition out here. Competition is not the right word. There's a ton of pest control companies, but not a lot of aggressive pest control companies out here. And so that's been interesting to see from a nationwide, these companies all over the US and how their personalities play into their businesses and what that looks like. It's super fun.
For sure. And then you just brought up software, and I don't need to give anyone a shout out, but just curious what software where are you at now with software?
Yeah, we use field routes.
Awesome. Yeah, us too.
Yeah. So we actually, to finish the story, we did go to ServSuite for a couple of years. And then I think Field Routes did something a little different with their pricing, and just the user experience for us was so much better with Field Routes. And so we went there, and then now that they're under the same umbrella and they can't even get those ServSuite people over to the Field Routes, it's just, man, private equity can really wreck industries.
We could go on a rant about this.
Oh yeah.
This is our biggest struggle with them too. It's been tough for sure.
Yeah. Are you on Field Routes as well, or?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's like, we've talked about switching so many times, and I'm a firm believer, and I know this. I'm wise enough to know that all software has its issues. I understand that. Happy with the software. It's been good. Things are a little slow to move where I'd like to see them. And I see other platforms that are doing really good AI stuff and lots of cool things happening there. And their support, I'm not trying to dog them. I get it, but man, is it rough. But again, I get it. I'm not trying to dog them by any means. Software is great. Obviously, there's things I like to see change, but again, I understand that nothing's gonna be perfect, and I'm okay with that. There's a workaround for everything, But when you're just trying to get a hold of someone and you just need to get something fixed and it can't get fixed, then that's a struggle.
And you're of a considerable size. Like, hey, not to pull that card, but like, help me out here.
And thankfully, with that being said, and gotta give credit where credit's due, we have a weekly meeting every single Tuesday with the Field Routes representative. So we have that access. So that's been a big win for us. So I gotta give credit where credit's due, because I'm not trying to dog them. But it's to the point where like you almost feel like the pain of staying with them is like way worse than the pain of switching. So it feels like we're like almost like in handcuffs. Like just the thought of having to switch all of our customers over to new software, like, oh, it sounds terrifying. And I've done it once before, and it's not fun.
No, it is not. And with the acquisitions, we've tested out the different softwares out there. We've played with everything, but we've switched back to Field Routes and got them on our stuff. And it's interesting. It's interesting to learn. And then the way we run things is, and I'm sure every pest control company runs things a little bit differently, right? But we have some pretty sharp people in our office that do some good workarounds. And
yeah, us too. And thankfully we have those on our team, because small operators probably don't.
No.
And so it's funny, they'll call me like, hey, can I borrow that person for a little bit, have them fix this? So I'll just give them a call. Right. It's kind of funny. How much do you think the industry has changed since you started till today? And then after that, I'll ask, how do you think the customer has changed?
Okay. So I wouldn't know, except that I'm doing a new pest control company in Southern California right now.
I have that on my notes to talk about too.
Yeah. And so I'm looking at, hey, my brother started his company in Orange County 25 years ago. And now he and I are back together in this partnership, starting it up. And it's still very challenging. He's going out on the doors, and he hasn't been on the doors for like 10 years at least. And so there's all the Ring cameras. There's the even more competition than there was back then. But I did want to mention, though, it was super helpful. So the story of how we got back together, right, is I met some of your guys in Orlando, right, and some of the Pest Badger guys, and just to be around them and to see the energy of young people, and then jump back into my new business where it's 350-year-olds trying to run this thing with, a young technician maybe, but like the energy that they have was so exciting to me. And it's like, okay, I can do this with one company, but we're looking at, I mean, we have probably 4 companies that we've started in the last 2 years. And it's like, from here on out, any new company is probably going to have to be younger folks, running it. And so my pool company, that's what we did. We hired a guy and he came on. He's younger, energy. He's super stoked about being able to work with our management team, learn from us, and we can level him up and just kind of get that synergy going, right? But it's different. It's different working with older folks and more experience. But we might not be there till 5:00 in the evening. It's a struggle.
A couple really good topics to talk about. First one is, what was your decision to start another company in California? I know you and I talked a month ago or whatever it was, 2 months ago. And you're like, yeah, it's been challenging, it's hard. But why did you decide to do that? Was it because the capacity that you're at in Hawaii, like you just don't feel like you could grow, so you decided to start another market? Was it your brother? Was it all of it?
It was all of it. It's really options. I've seen people sell their companies, and then it's great for a couple of years, and then they want to get back in the game. And so I'm like, well, if I want to start some other businesses now, then I can sell the big one. I can sell off other pieces and have an exit. It kind of depends, if my kids want to join the company or what kind of, management, bench that we have, so to speak. But it just gives options. And the opportunity to play in that Southern California market, a new market for me, and to leverage our team over here was just too good to pass up. Because it's like, what are you going to do? You're going to buy NVIDIA or Tesla stock, or would you rather run something that that, you give something, you've been in it 5 years and you're murdering it. If you have, a good 10-year run, like you can do a lot of different things and have a lot of different options. The other thing is, like I say, everybody says, don't do business in California. It's super hard, and it is, right? But that challenge is an opportunity, right? That's where you can go and get leverage on somebody else exiting or not. We can't all be in Dallas and Raleigh. It's like, and that's a challenge too. Those are great markets, but they're super competitive. So I'd just rather be, and frankly, my parents are in Southern California. And so if it gives me an opportunity to travel and see them, then it's awesome. We're not getting any younger, and it's all about the relationships.
Yeah. How often do you travel to Cali?
I think December is the only month I'm not traveling this year. So, and that's international, US, whatever. And so if I'm not going to California, I am going to the mainland at least probably 7 or 8 times this year. And so not every time, but a lot of times I can just stop in on a layover for a couple of days and check in with the guys, or fly them out to Hawaii, and then we, powwow.
That's not a bad deal. That's not a bad deal. Just fly them out to Hawaii. I'm sure they hate that.
Yeah.
You brought up kids. How many kids do you got?
We have 3 children. Yeah.
Awesome. Boys,
3
girls?
kids. Yeah, a couple boys and a girl. I have a son that's my middle child is serving a mission now in Georgia. My oldest just got engaged last
Congratulations.
week, and so thank you. It's super super weird, but amazing. I'm super happy for him and his fiance. Very nice young lady, and I met her parents. She's from Vegas, but they're coming out for Christmas. Son gets in tomorrow night, and then I have a daughter in high school. So
Awesome. What grade?
it's awesome. She's a sophomore, so we have a couple years until we're empty nesters here.
Yeah, my oldest is a sophomore in high school.
Oh, cool.
It's a fun age for sure. I love it. And
It's a hard age. It's a
it
hard
is,
age.
but she's so good. Like I, I can't say enough about the girl. She's great. She's easy to deal with. She's 4.0 student. She's a great athlete. Like, I mean, she's just an all around rock star. She's such a great kid. I've gotten super blessed with all of my kids, but she's the oldest and she set the example and she's awesome. Like she's a wrestler. She's tough.
Yeah, if the
Like
first goes, then everybody
yeah,
can follow, and
yeah.
that's so good, man.
So she's ranked 5th in the state in female wrestling. She's really tough. She's fun to watch. We travel the country for sure. It's so much fun to watch her. Love it. So it's been fun. You mentioned exit too. Maybe you don't have an exit plan, but maybe you do. What are you thinking?
I'm preparing for everything. I'm preparing to exit probably, I wouldn't say any sooner than 5 years, but I say 5 to 15 years. So like I have no plan to exit, but it's both. Like I want to be able to exit in 2 years. I want to be able to have great grandkids working for this business, right? So whatever options are out there to um, make me feel good about, the possibilities, then we can make the decision later. But I'm planning on both, if
I
that
love
makes
that.
any sense.
It does.
Right?
No, yeah, you always got to be set yourself up because you never know what's going to happen. That's kind of where I was going to gear this next question to. The future, right? You guys are in the U group. I'm sure you guys talk about the future a lot, what it's going to look like. All the AI stuff coming, robots, like who knows? Like I'm sure you guys talk about it a lot. What is your take on?
My take is I'm so glad I'm in pest control, man.
For real.
For real. I'm in another peer group that they're all younger, hotter, much more wealthy, much bigger businesses than I'm in, right? But I meet with them 3-4 times a year, travel to the mainland, and at this last event, like it seemed like almost all of them were having to pivot so hard, and it's like to move this, $50 million company, like your algorithm has changed or the government has changed the laws and you have to like completely redo your business. It's like, I mean, those are real businessmen, like pest control, like another tech, another truck, like let's go. It's so yeah, there's changes. There's the technology. It's more competitive now. I'm so thankful that I got in when I did, but there's still opportunity, even for the startup, like in pest control. And so that's where in Hawaii specifically, because of the geographic constraint, that I'm in the pest control business, but a lot of us now think, oh, we're in the home service business, right? But it's all labor, right? Sure, there's going to be a time when there's drones and other things taken, but man, it's going to be a long time before there's a robot getting up underneath your cabinet to squirt some gel. I mean,
Yeah. And if you listen to like what Elon says, and whether you believe him or not, he's usually accurate at some point. I think his timeline is usually a little bit later on than what he predicts, but he says in the next 5 years is going to be 5, or I think he says 500,000 or 5 million. Can't remember the exact number he said. Robots on Earth doing all of our work for us. So what is that going to look like for us? Is it like homeowners own this $20,000 robot that does this work for us? Or is it like, hey, we're going to own the robots as a company and they're going to go do the work for us, self-driving cars? Like what that's going to look, I have no idea. So just to bring it up, like, so to say, because I said that I was going to go on a 20-year run. Like when I started Past Badger, I'm like, I'm going on a 20-year run. We're on year 5. You have 15 more years than me. But at the same time with you, the same thing. I kind of agree with you. Like I want to be set up so no matter what happens, I have a plan, right? So if things starting to get a little rocky and all the stuff starts coming, we could sell, have a good exit. I just don't want that to cost us a lot of money. You know what I mean? So I got, like you said, you have to play kind of both sides of that fence, you know. And I don't know what the future looks like.
Yeah, you gotta go with what's worked. You know, keep an eye out for the future. But I mean, there's still brand and there's still your customer base, right? Which is obviously the most valuable thing that you have, right? It's that customer base. So what can you leverage with that, even with robots? Like, I don't know. This is what I'm thinking more on the pool side. You know, pool automation. Okay, that makes a little that's chemical. You still have to have somebody come up, but that will get, I think, a lot more automated, right? And so from there, there's still a labor part, there's still a human side, but again, it's the customer base, right? What can you do with that customer base? And that's the value in that. And so I think that I'd like to say it'll always be valuable, you know, as long as you do run a good brand, then, you know. And massive companies have shot themselves in the foot not paying attention to those things. So as long as you're properly paranoid and like thinking, you know, it could happen to me, then I think we're going to be okay.
You have to be paranoid. You have to be.
Yeah. Even the real wealthy guys, you know, that they're looking out and they're seeing what, you know, doing the SWOT analysis and like figuring out where that competition is going to come from. They're playing to win, and it's a fun place to be.
It is, and it's like capitalism at its finest. May the best man win. It's just like you never know what's going to happen. I said this on the podcast before, but like 2 years ago, I was down in Florida at a Patrick by David conference, and I was talking to, he was like over the robotics of Ford, and he said, Jonas, there's already robots in our lab right now that can do your job. Your job is to have enough capital so when they do get released, that you can be the first one to capitalize on these robots, so you own them first. And so just having those connections, like what people think about, like, okay, good to know. You know, like it's coming down the pipeline. My mentor has been on the board of robotics lawnmowers for years, and they've been trying to figure out this lawn robot for 20 years, and they're still not quite there yet. And so I think just this year, they finally launched the first fully robotic lawnmower that's like a 52-inch or whatever. And you don't have to have someone there watching it all the time. It's still in beta. It's still new. But we've been working on this for 20 years. Like, it's not out there doing pest control. It's out there cutting grass. And that's the easiest of all services to do, in my opinion. And it took 20 years to figure that out. And I know with AI and all this new stuff, the technology, that's getting faster and faster and faster. So how long do we have? I have no idea. I wish I had a crystal ball, but I don't.
It's not going to be everywhere all at once, right? You'll be able to see some of that. And especially that is one benefit about Hawaii, that if, you know, it's not easy to travel that much and to see what's out there. But if you do, you see what's coming earlier. And that's definitely an advantage that we've had and we've seen, because things are slower to get out here, and the competition and customers like don't even know about it, number one. But you know, when it does trickle in, it's you know, a lag of several years.
Yeah, and it's like, okay, so they launch these robots, let's say in 5 years, but then the government has to approve that everyone can own robots. So is the government going to say, yeah, everyone can own a robot? Like, who knows, right?
Yeah.
But your California business, on the other hand, like that's where it all starts, right?
Yeah.
That's where you know, all of especially in the Bay Area, like that's where all like the AI guys are coming from, right? So that'll probably impact. They're the fastest. It seems like everything starts in California and trickles throughout America, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, California, on the other hand, I mean, there's some issues with the pesticide law that is like they're clamping down on that so hard that you're really going to have to know some workarounds.
Agreed. I just got off a 2-hour podcast last week with a guy that's on the board in California.
Okay.
And yeah, it sounds like it's gonna be tough.
Yeah. Yeah. It's gonna be tough for everybody. And that's really I mean, we all know IPM. It's a communication issue. And is the robot going to be able to communicate that better than, a trusted person? I don't know, maybe, but it's not as easy as it looks.
No, like we talked about rodenticides for an hour, and everyone sees like a cat with a missing eye, or like a bobcat with a missing eye, or they see an eagle that's that's exploded, and they see all this stuff, but just from secondary poisoning or whatever, and no one wants to see that. Like, I get it, but the flip side of that is no one wants to deal with rats either. Like, he was telling me about this. It was like at the Capitol building, that where the laws come from. Like, their whole office was infested with rats during the day, climbing on their desk. And the judge was so pissed, like, at their pest control company. Like, well, what do you want us to do? Like, we can't use anything. So now they're seeing the other side of it. Like, they're so infested with rats and mice that they're dealing with it on a daily basis now.
Oh yeah, and plague and the disease and all the crazy stuff that's happening in the homeless communities over there. It's insane.
Yeah, and that's exactly what he said. He said it's not like the middle class or the upper middle class that they can afford to go get someone to come in and do a $30,000 exclusion. It's the people who are homeless or the people who are less fortunate that can't afford this stuff that are just going to have to deal with them. He said that at that point it's going to be a plague. Like, that'll be the next COVID or whatever. It's going to be a plague from all the rats and the mice. They're going to have to do something. So yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens, and hopefully with the advancements in AI and technology, we'll get some relief. But yeah, it's a struggle for sure. And I was just listening to Rogan last. Yeah, I was just listening to Rogan last night, and they're talking about like all the mountain lions that are in California, and the attacks that people are getting just on the just jogging at night close to town. And I can't remember the guy's name. He was a famous hunter's brother was just running, and he's getting chased by a mountain lion. And it's because they can't kill cats out there. The cats that they can kill are done by the state or whatever, the government. They have like a certain amount they kill per year, but there's no one else controlling them. They're not allowed to hunt them, so they're overtaking the mountains, and they're
Right.
literally everywhere.
Yeah, yeah. And then you can't carry a gun, probably.
Can't carry a gun, yeah. So yeah, it's interesting with California for sure, and on a lot of different things for sure. Without getting too political, but yeah, but it just seems like whatever they start kind of trickles throughout the whole U.S. So hopefully they get it figured out soon. How are you guys? Like, I know it's new, but how are you guys handling all that so far?
Yeah, so I think it's, especially because of my experience in just seeing the value of being in associations and just networking and that sort of thing. When we're on the front side of training and all the new laws that are coming down, but also the new pest control changes and opportunities there, it's good. It's been good because there is a lot of rodent work, right?
Yeah,
and
for sure.
Exclusion work. Well, I'll say this: any pest control, any one-time pest control service, you can put a warranty on. You can have some sort of reoccurring aspect to it, right? And so there's the great money. That's always nice to get, a big job, but
yeah, because the big job is you take the money from the big job and you put that into marketing and use that marketing dollars to get more reoccurring work. And I talked about that in the YouTube video this morning. Like, wildlife business is a great business. Just make sure the model set up correctly, because like you just said, every single pest control job out there, whether exclusion or wildlife, can be reoccurring at some point.
Mhm. It's and it's so profitable too. I mean, yeah, like you say, the money that you can put into marketing or whatever, or employee wellness, like you got to have cash flow. Yeah, you got to have some good margins.
Yeah, for sure. And pest control is one of those services that has really good margins if done correctly, you know?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, the reoccurring work has good margins. And then the one time work has even better margins, right? So
Yeah.
it's easy.
Yeah. You mentioned employee wellness, which is a cool topic. What do you guys do that is maybe not different, but what do you guys do for your employee wellness?
Well, we do a few things.
You have the profit share in there, which is cool.
We have that for some of the management. So we do an annual conference, and I do an open mic that employees can just ask me a question. They want to know if they can invest in Kilauea, and the answer is no. But bring me a business, and we'll partner. Right? You want some upside? Do something I can't do. Go find me another business to bring on. And that's most of that's not going to fly with people, but for a few of them, they're out there. They're going to see. They see real estate opportunities. They see business opportunities. And so if we can leverage some of that, then that's cool. But we do well, and I'll say going out and seeing this isn't rocket science. I mean, most people do this, but for people in Hawaii, to be able to travel and go to some of these conferences, I remember going to some conferences and seeing HR directors at different companies and be like, that's what I need. And this is like 5 years ago, is like, I need an HR director, somebody, just the employee wellness, middle of COVID, like, how can we just attract, the biggest and brightest, right? So, so the same time I hired the commercial guy, we hired another one of our friends that's been amazing at our HR, just employee wellness, right? So she's always like evaluating opportunities, like, hey, how much is it to just give all of our people not minimal, but like some form of life insurance, right? Because people do die, right? I had a technician die a couple of years ago, just not on the job, but just diabetes, and it's horrible, and it's like, if we had some insurance, like, that could have been blessed that family so much. So we're looking at things like that and providing the better insurances and the vision and all the stuff. No, so in Hawaii, like, we've always had Obamacare, right? We've always had, if you're over 20 hours, like, you have to provide full insurance for your employees. So stuff like that. The last few years, we've been doing a lot of education and just the personal side, personal finances. We're doing a Dave Ramsey program, right, where they get access to somebody to help them with their taxes, and that's for all of our employees and their families. And some of these things are not too expensive, $4 or $5 grand, $6 grand. They're just, every year, if you kind of keep chipping at it, the word gets out, people stay longer, and that's a driver. If you can have a technician stay on for 20 years, like, holy cow, how valuable is that to your customer base, right?
For sure.
So,
yeah,
that's the goal.
Yeah. Do you guys follow any like meeting structure, like a weekly cadence, monthly cadence? Do you guys follow like a scaling up? Do you guys follow anything like that?
Yes. So we self-implemented EOS about probably 6 years ago, and then we have our annual coming up. Our last quarterly meeting was is the first time we've had a facilitator, and he actually didn't do EOS, he did scaling up.
Gotcha.
Right? So,
Yeah.
But we're getting at a point where we really shouldn't be talking about issues too much. I mean, you talk about that some, but it's more strategy, and so there is a point to which EOS, like.
So did you do you copy it word for word, or do you kind of just create your own version?
We definitely do our own, just because of personality. But I did tell my people when we started, hey, we want to try to do this as by the book as possible, because I know that I'm not the best at following the rules, right?
Right.
But
I don't think any
hey,
of us are.
let's lean into this and see if it'll help, right? So, because on our L10, you know how you're supposed to just like write down all the issues, and just from the scorecard, like we're just issue after just we continually go through it as we go through the scorecard. So we're not super disciplined on that, but we definitely have our quarterly meetings, and so I just have everybody takes a turn, and somebody's in charge of it, and they'll set up the food and whatnot, but then they'll also like divvy out the responsibilities. Okay, you're going over the quarterly rocks, you're going over the health or whatever. And so
Cool.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
how we've done
Yeah,
it.
we do the same thing. What was it like when you brought in your first implementer?
Well, I think they liked it. I think they liked it. It was good. However, they didn't like how much it cost,
Oh,
because if
right,
you're doing
right.
profit sharing, it's coming out of their pocket, right? At some point. So, um,
What was the reason? What was your reasoning for bringing in an implementer?
so kind of a long story, but so I'm an EO, or I don't know if you're familiar with Entrepreneurs
Yep.
Organization.
Yep.
And so I'm an EO, and I just started an accelerator program this year. So it's companies 250 to a million to try to get them over a million. And so we've been recruiting for that. So in the accelerator program, we have a quarterly learning day, and that our quarterly learning day person, we fly out from the Bay Area, and he is a coach, and he does all this training and whatnot. He was going to be out here already and helping facilitate another EO member's quarterly. I was like, man, my quarterly is the next day. Just come on in. You're here. Let's do it. So that's what he came from that. But he's been working with scaling up for 20 years.
Yeah. Was there like I've read Scaling Up, I've read Traction a bunch of times. Was there a big difference of the way they implemented, or not really?
Not really. I mean,
Yeah.
there was for
Was he
sure.
more strict?
Now he was pretty easygoing. I think he can read the room, and we have some people on our management team that have had bad experiences with um, um, gurus and things like that. Personally, I eat it up, and I can separate whatever and appreciate. I can appreciate Rich Dad Poor Dad for the energy that it brings, and not for the okay. If you drill down into the numbers, it doesn't math out. It's not that easy, but I need energy, right? I need to like be stoked about whatever somebody's entrepreneurial journey, or bring this new thing. Let's try this, right?
Yeah, that's awesome. Was it helpful to have him there? Did you learn anything? Did you take anything away?
Yeah, it was. He definitely brought some new ideas, and it was more strategic, more vision. And so some he went through personally with me before the meeting some uh, some some meditation and some real um, stream of conscious, writings and things about the vision of, and prompts to me, questions about, how I wanted the business to look. And then he kind of had the presentation of that, me doing that presentation to talk to our people about the vision. And that was really good. And then some other team health things that I'm highly um, I think that's sometimes the highest and best use of your time together as a team, to get together and to be closer, right? Um, because crap comes up, and you can get people that are pissed off at each other and whatever, but you have to have that that baseline team trust, all that good stuff to make a business grow. And if you don't, things can go south really, really quickly. And so I'm sure, like you and other people, we're just trying to keep the bus on the wheel. We can see, hey, we're growing really good. Like we can see that, and we don't need to take it, or we shouldn't take it for granted, right? Things can go south. So what do I need to do to make this thing healthier? And that's what we do as leaders, right?
Yeah, for sure. When you talk about a little bit about meditating, is it hard for you? Kind of, it's hard for me to shut out the noise like, and just try to think super clear?
Oh yeah, and I don't want to. I want content. I'm listening to podcasts all the time, and I'm getting ideas and writing them down. Um, that's what I do, right? But you're absolutely right. I mean, the deep work, the thinking through things, that is, and as leaders, it's real personal. You can do it with a team, you can do the group stuff, but to have that time to really think through, that's one of the big things I've learned from this other peer group that I'm in. Is just how to do that, how to think through, and how to break down your quarterly rocks into like weekly stuff, and just really focus on that.
How many peer groups are you in? If you have, I mean, I know of three. Kind of sounds like for sure. Obviously, you've seen a major impact by joining those groups. Like I told you before, like it was a pivotal time in my career too.
Yeah. So yeah, U Group, EO. I just joined one that's, um, it's more an association, but it's the University of Hawaii Family Business Group, and so that's super interesting to see some of those generational families. This 7 generation, company that my family is interacting with, to look at how that looks to have a generational company. And hey, my kids might not want to be in pest control, but there's some assets there to deploy and to manage. And if that's interesting to you guys, then like let's build something great, because I don't think any of us want to move from Hawaii. So,
Nah, I can't imagine.
yeah,
I would have moved there.
yeah, yeah.
You were
Well,
like,
you
I'm
got to
gonna go
come
turn
out.
on the AC, and I'm like, I'm going to turn on the heat.
Yeah.
We're dealing with a foot of snow
um,
over here. Yeah, I would absolutely love to come visit. I think it'd be so cool.
yeah, you say the word, man. We got you.
Awesome. You mentioned books. I know you mentioned a couple of books. Are you an avid reader? Do you like to read?
Yeah, yeah. I read quite a bit.
I see some books behind you. Kind of why I asked, but
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I'm mostly listening to them like everybody else. I'm listening to the Jeremy Renner book right now, autobiographies. I listened to the Rockefeller one this year. Gosh, there's some other, the billionaire ones. Just there's some random books by billionaires that are so fascinating to me. I read one this year that was John Huntsman, the LDS fellow, that he actually came up with like the clamshell thing for McDonald's. But it was awesome to read, just the deals he was involved in, and the structure, and how he structured those things. And then and then it was crazy. He exited, not exited, but he was the chairman of the company. He retired. His very, very capable son that ran for president a few years ago or one of his sons was running the company for like a year or two. The market went south, and they were going to go bankrupt, and he had to jump back in, the dad, out of retirement, and pull this company back up, and you know has made his billions and done amazing things with cancer research. And but yeah, stories like that's
do
yeah,
you remember what the
super
book
fast.
was called? The John Huntsman book?
Yeah, the John Huntsman. I
I
don't,
bet.
but
Okay, I'll just
yeah,
look it
John.
up. That's cool.
Yeah, I think he has
Yeah,
a
I
couple,
just
but
read. Yeah, I just read The Ultimate Gift. I don't know if you ever read it. It's a pretty cool read. I really liked that. Just it was different. It was really cool. And then another one that I just got done reading was The Science of Scaling. That was a really good book too. So you ever read that?
uh, the science of scaling, yeah. And the 3 previous books he did with
Yeah.
Homeboy, yeah. The science of scaling is very good. And that right now I'm like in way too many peer groups, so like I have to get out of some to do the coach again. But that his program looks pretty interesting.
It does. I agree. I can't remember what his first book was called. I'm drawing a blank, but it was really good too. 10x is faster. 10x is better than 2x, or 2x. Yeah, 10x is better than 2x.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what
yeah.
it was. Yeah, yeah.
That one was really good. Who Not How and The Gap in the
Yeah.
Gain, I think the
Yeah,
other
those are
three.
all really good. Yeah, the 10x is easier than 2x. I really like that one. Then the newest one was really good too. I like those. Any other book recommendations you have for us? That I've never read the John Huntsman book, so I'm gonna read that one too.
Yeah, let's see. I can put that right here. Let's see. I got my Audible up now. I'm gonna tell you. The Gap in the Gain, The Art of Spending. The Art of Spending Money. If you've ever read it, it's kind of what do you call it? Um, Cotton candy. It's a fun read though. But talking about, have you read Die with Zero?
No.
Yeah. I don't agree with the title of the book, but it's very interesting. It's a very interesting way to look at, basically you should die with nothing so that, and there's ways to do that, with annuities and whatnot. But the idea is that, like, any any money you lived with, or any money you die with, you should have not worked that time and done more of what you know. And of course, as entrepreneurs, it's like, okay, we're trying to get to the next level or whatever. But it's the game, right? I mean, that's like, yeah, we could both retire. We could both exit right now and we'd be just fine. Our families would be just fine. But being in the game, having the fun, seeing if you can be the best at that how, is there's there's not a lot more fulfillment than that.
I agree. Yeah, I think that like this kind of a goal is like to live out our genetic like history. Like we want to be the best version of ourselves to see how good we can actually be, you know? And I've said it before, like I'm trying to get better every single day and I have a lot of work to do it. But I want to be so effing good that people want to work for me for free. That's just what I want to try to
Yeah.
get to. Like I want to be that
All
good.
right.
And I'm trying, you
Oh,
know?
that's awesome. Another business book that just in general, one of my favorites is Jim Collins's first book.
Is it Good to Great, that one? Oh, Beyond Entrepreneurship.
Yeah. So How the Mighty Falls, awesome. Good to Great. Those are great books. But his first one for entrepreneurship is really good. And then, kind of a diversion from business, I'm reading a marriage like help book, uh, and called Hold Me Tight. And I just went through the program with my wife. This is super good, really good. Um, it was helpful. So just putting that out there. I know probably everybody has great marriages, but
Yeah.
it's
Yeah, definitely.
no, it's a struggle. It's a struggle.
For sure. I know we talked a little bit about California, talked about Hawaii, what your future is there, adding more services. What For my own question, why did you pick pool service?
It's a good question. So leveraging the network and the technology. So I know that ABC Pest Control, right down in Texas, the three brothers, right? You look at them; they're doing the HVAC, the plumbing, all of it, right?
Yeah.
And
Cam Bodden kind of did the same thing out in Arizona.
yeah, so uh, yeah, he's a monster. The the typical one is lawn, right? It's like Jack and Jill, the pest and lawn. But I looked on LinkedIn. I found the pool guy, the pool manager for one of the ABC pest control companies. Called ABC, asked for the guy. They put me right through to him, and I just talked to him for about 20 minutes. And during the conversation about pools, I was saying, "Hey, if you guys were just doing pest control and you could either go into lawn or pools, which would you go into?" And he said pools. So I'm doing pools.
Yeah, and I don't know what the lawns are like out there. I have no clue. It was just my background. It's what I knew. It's where I started in business. So adding pest control was different. And then as we were growing, like we were like 90, well, we were like 50% pest control, and then we were like 60% pest control, and then we were like 70. Like just that's how the business kept growing. In the cold season market like this, and you can only service lawns 7 months out of the year, it only made more sense to go all in a pest control. We can service year round.
Yeah. that's a no-brainer. I mean, pest control, and I haven't found anything better than pest control. Like that's the best. But again, on the maximization thing, like what else is going to be the easiest thing? And there's always pest control routes for, or not pest control. There's always pool routes for sale. Pest control is harder to come by, but
It
pool
is.
routes, doing these
It's
little,
kind of like lawn care, like mowing. Like I feel like that would be the easiest business to roll up ever, but no one wants to do it because there's not a lot of money in it, lots of overhead, lots of equipment.
lots of overhead. And that's another one. Just there was a guy in the U group that owned a massive, I mean, I want to say a $40 million, it was mostly lawn, right? And I called him up one day and I was like, hey, is it a good idea to buy maybe a $4 million lawn care company that does a lot of commercial and cross sell that for pest control? And he was just like, dude, you do not want to be in lawn. And he's like, this massively successful guy is like, you're just fixing machines. That's all you're doing is fixing machines. So just go pay $250,000 to the best sales guy in Hawaii and have him sell all your commercial stuff. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's
Yeah, no,
there you
and
go.
I agree with him. Lawn, and not every market's like that, but you get into like the market. I don't know how big the lawns are over there, but like you get into like let's go central Dallas, right, where lawns are 1,000 to 3,000 square feet, where you can use a little push mower and you can knock out 30 jobs a day. I can see that with little robots or whatever, but you get into these other markets where the average square footage is just 20,000 square feet, and you got to go spend $20,000 on a mower to go make $1,000 a day or $800 a day. It just doesn't make sense to me anymore. And I've done that before. I've done it. And so I'm not knocking anyone that's doing that. It's just a harder business, in my opinion. But then it's like, I think pest control is kind of cool because like you started out the podcast was like, it was hard to get a license in Hawaii. It's hard to get a license in pest control in general. North Carolina, California, Hawaii, Florida, Texas, it's all hard. But that kind of is a good thing. And so I like those services like HVAC, plumbing, maybe garage door where you have to have like a license to get into it. Where like the flip side is like lawn care, pool cleaning, easier to start up, a lot more competition. But again, probably easier sale too, and then you brought up cross-selling, like lawn care to pest control is no one's really figured it out yet. There's no one that's really good. Even True Green bought, I think True Green bought a pest control company. They're going to cross-sell. I can't remember who it was. They spent like $15 million on this lawn care company to try to cross-sell pest control. They had to shut the business down like 2.5 years later. And so it's a tough sell. It's a totally different like sale. Like the customer just sees you as a totally different business. So I'm interested to see what, like, are you going to start because I know like over in the other small island, you kept that brand with your pool cleaning company. Is it a separate brand as well?
No, it's Kilauea Pools, our
Cool.
Kilauea Pool Service. Yeah, actually.
And
So
did you start just upselling your current customers, like in field routes? Did you have all your technicians like mark down all the customers that had pools, or where did you start?
yeah, we're doing that. I mean, we're only 6 months into it, right? So we're still like making sure that the service quality is really good before we like really roll it out.
Awesome. I like that. So other than the pools in California, what is the future for John Speed?
The future for John Speed is, well, it's backing out of responsibility to do more fun stuff. But
you've been doing it for 30 years,
Well, yeah, I'll be in it. I'll be in it for a long time. It's super fun. But I've been able to do both, like have a lot of fun, travel, goof off. But right now, the last year, the next year or two is going to be super. It's these startups are no joke, right? So I was taking flying lessons all this past year, and I've just had to say, hey, you know what? I need to stop for a year and just focus on these businesses, and then I can like resume and keep, because I want to keep going. I want to do the instrument and do the commercial and just do all the fun stuff and then do acrobat, or go to a neighbor island or whatever you want to do. But you can't do it all, right? And flying is one of those things that, like, you can crash. You better know what you're doing. You better be on your game. And so because I'm traveling so much, I'm getting back and my afternoons are spent flying, but then I'll go away for a week or 2 weeks, and it's not good for one, and it's not good for my business, because it's like I exercise in the morning, I work out, and then I have like a couple hours to work, and then I'm flying in the afternoon. That doesn't, it's not.
It's funny that you mentioned this, because within the last 3 months, I've been really like leaning towards flying lessons. I called the flight instructor. Maybe it was less than that. Maybe it's 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Left him a voicemail. He called me back, and I never called him back. I have a couple of friends who are 3 or 4 friends that are also pilots, and they're like, "Yeah, it's a great idea because you have all these branches. You'd save me so much time, so much time." But they said it's not something that basically you can just like kind of half-ass. Like, you got to go all in to make sure you give enough time. I'm like, I don't know if I can give it that much time. So it's like, okay, now I got to be smart about this. And like you said, like, it sounded like a great idea, but then it's like, oh, I could crash this thing. Like, it's real. Like, so what are your thoughts? Like, I know you've probably flown multiple times now, but what do you think?
Yeah. Oh,
Like, your
I have
take
like
on it?
100 hours. Like, I have over 100 hours. Like, and I'm probably like still 30% away from getting my private. Like, I've done a solo. I've gone inter island, over the water and whatnot. But there's still a lot of work to do to kind of finalize everything. So I'm gonna get I'm kind of into researching sims now, and so I'm gonna try to do that and still kind of keep up with it this next year, but just not have the feeling like, hey, if I'm in town, I got to go fly, So,
Why did you want to fly? Is it just so you could get to the mainland faster?
oh no, mainland, you're talking two pilots, you're talking
Oh, gotcha.
crazy money, like
Gotcha.
that's yeah.
So you just want to be able to hop from island to island.
I want to be able to hop from island. That was I've always kind of wanted to fly, but really, when we bought the Maui company and we have a guy in Molokai, I was like, oh, I'd like to spend more time in Molokai. The Molokai airline,
That's how
there's
I
one
feel right now.
Yeah.
Like, I'd love to be at my branches more often, but it takes me, by the time I drive there, it's 6 to 8 hours. Then I'm there for a day and a half. Then I drive back. It burned 3 days,
Yeah. It's your Walmart way, right?
Exactly. 100%.
That's what he did. Yeah.
That's exactly what he did.
Yeah. It's so fun. And then I have flown with a buddy that did acrobatics, and it's like, that sounds fun. That would really scratch an itch for me, because you want to be super safe in the airplanes, right? But acrobatics is designed to have a lot of fun and goof off in an airplane. That's.
I just want to get from point A to point B. I don't want to jump out of a plane. I don't do acrobatics. I just want to save some time.
And all that's fun, and to be able to fly in. And I've flown with some friends, and it's just so nice to just park, pull out your plane, go whenever you want. I love it. I love not going through TSA. It's not balling. It's not like a jet or anything, but it's convenient, man. It's very nice.
So can you, with your 100 hours now, can you fly on your own?
No, I need a private pilot. I need to finish it up.
And how much longer I don't know how long it usually takes. So,
I mean, the minimum's 40 hours, and most people are like 80, 100 hours before I think they get a private pilot. But you just have to go through all the different, qualifications and know all your maneuvers, and the comms are the worst. So, like, knowing like what they're saying on the radio and how to respond and memorizing. I'm not very good at memorizing. And so just that practice and listening to like a live ATC and, okay, that's what they're saying. That's what that means. And then having to memorize all that stuff, it's challenging.
Again, I kind of the same with you. Like, I'll go fly with my friends and they're talking all this gibberish and they're just like cruising along and they're just chatting away and they're pressing all these buttons. I'm like, I have no idea what's going on. Like, I don't know if I could do that. I'm so ADD.
It's
Like, I'd probably be
interesting,
looking at my
huh?
phone. I don't know. It is very interesting. But that's kind of like the cool part about it. Like testing myself. Could I do it? You know?
For sure, for sure. That's exactly for me. It's like I'm very scattered. I'm not a details
Dude,
person.
I'm
But if
so
my life depended on
ADD.
it,
Yeah.
yeah, if my life depended on it, do I trust myself to fly me and my family in a plane? And I tell you, one of the coolest things, dude, for me, it's horrible because all you're looking at is people's dying. But do you follow like the Facebook, like
No.
the crashes?
No, I
Go
don't want to
follow
see
some.
any of it.
Oh, no. Follow the Facebook crash reports and it will say what they did. Hey, this is the mistake that this guy with 10,000 hours, this is how he screwed up on that flight. Go follow those. Very interesting reading. And
I don't
again,
know if I
super
want to
sad.
do that. Like that's scary
Oh,
as it
yeah.
is.
No, that's the good stuff right there, man.
I don't want to have nothing to do with crashing. I guess again, I just want to be able to get up and get back down. Like, I mean, my furthest drive is like 8 hours. I could be there in 45 minutes. You know,
Right.
maybe an hour, but it'd be so awesome.
Yeah, but it's learning from others' mistakes, right?
Right, for sure.
And that's better than being up there and like, and I honestly, I've learned so much from reading those reports, and it happens to the best of them. So it's like, well, am I that good? Well, I don't know, but at least I can learn from that.
Yeah. Have you had any close calls at all, or anything crazy happen as you've been up there? Or been pretty smooth sailing.
There was one time we took off and we started our turn. We were about 1,500 feet, and the engine hiccuped for a little bit. The RPMs went down, and I was, and then it came back up. It was like 2 seconds, but so I was like, should we keep going? Because I was like, okay, I guess that happens. I don't know.
Yeah.
And the guy was like, no, we're turning around. We're landing. Right. And after, again, going through all those reports of what can happen, it's like, that's exactly what you do. But I wouldn't know that unless, but there's some very basic things like, especially on the takeoff where people try to turn around, they don't have the height and they don't have power, and you do a stall and you just fall out of the sky. Right. And people, that happens to people, but if you're aware of it, it's pretty easy not to do that, and that's the first thing they teach you is if you lose an engine, how to land. Like, so I'm pretty confident in that. So
what kind of airplane do you practice in? Do you know?
A Cessna, a 172. I used to do the steam gauges, just the 6-pack, and those are older planes. And then after that one experience, I was like, I can afford a glass panel. So I just fly in nice Cessnas now.
Gotcha.
But
that's like a dual engine. So if one shuts off, you have another.
No,
engine?
not a dual engine.
Gotcha. Not dual prop or whatever they are called.
Yes, a single engine Cessna, but just a newer Cessna with like the good electronics.
That's what's scary though. Like I see these planes that are like 1970s and 80s or something. Like I don't want to drive something from the 80s, fly something from the 80s. Like I want a brand new plane.
Right.
I don't want to deal
It's
with all
lasted
that.
so long. It's
right.
And then you find out all the mechanical stuff and all the stuff that you have to do for those planes. And every time you go out, you're doing the checklist, right? And you're doing a visual inspection. And almost all of those crashes that happen are pilot error, And so there's that human error of like, hey, you didn't follow the checklist, or you didn't do enough training, or you're trying to do this all over the place and not like being consistent. So
yeah. And when you go up, how often are you usually up? Is it 45 minutes, hour, half hour?
Usually a couple of hours. Well, by the time you're up and back down, probably an hour and a half to 2.5 hours. Sometimes I'll have like a 3-hour lesson.
So you're taking 100 trips before you're even ready to go by yourself at all, right?
But yeah, once you get into it, you'll see that you cannot get a private pilot's license without really, really knowing your stuff.
Right. Which
And
I like.
I'm sure,
Gosh.
yeah, if you've talked to your pilot buddies, like there's so much stuff you can. I could have done it way cheaper, just learning those
I'm
comms and
not
all that
looking for
stuff.
cheaper. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, no, not cheaper, but like I could have done it smarter, maybe, because I could have learned a lot more before I actually started going up in a plane. But I just wanted to go, right? So I'm like, hey, just put me in for the hours. I'll learn it along the way. And if I was training, if I was, mentoring a teenager in, hey, this is how you do it, I would have done it a lot different than I did, because I didn't know I didn't know what I was doing. I just wanted to fly. So get me in a plane, let's go up. And so it was fun. They'll take your money.
Yeah, for sure. Have you landed yourself? Have you taken off yourself yet?
Mhm. Yeah. So I've done one solo, and so we fly out of Honolulu, go over to a airport close by, just a small airport. The instructor jumps out, and then you have to talk to the tower and tell them where you're going, get set up and take off and come around and land again and take off and then land. And so it's pretty fun.
That's really cool. So I kind of deviated from like your future, but I know you said you asked you like what's the future for John Speed. You said you want to do more work, less flying. And I kind of went on a tangent about flying. So sorry about that, because I was interested. So you want to do more work, less flying, but and more traveling. So
That's
what does that look like?
That's the short term. The next couple of years with these new businesses, but again, to me, the secret sauce of Kilauea is our management team. Like, we've been together, we have a good cadence, we have a good, we know what the heck we're doing, right? And so if we can like get into other industries and mentor some of these operators, then we can do more with what we have. We can leverage the best of us. And so I went over to acquisition.com a couple of months ago, and the Alex Hormozy like kind of thing. And what he does is he has his management speak, go through and speak to you. And then to see what level those guys are playing at is pretty cool. And it's like,
It's impressive, isn't it?
we're not anywhere near that, but I flew out my California guys a couple weeks ago, and that's what I did. I had that model. Okay, that's how it looks like. Okay, so each of my managers spend a couple hours going through what they're doing to kind of level up my California folks, and they can ask about HR issues or marketing and whatever. And so it's been fun.
It was I enjoyed every second that I spent there too. It's been a really good time out there. I'm going back 2 times again this year. Probably keep doing it for a while. It's they're awesome out there. That's really cool.
Yeah. Have you done the VAM thing?
Yep, we did V3.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Yeah, we did the V3. We did the. Yeah, we've done it all. It's been really, really fun.
Cool. I'll have to get on a call.
Yeah, I enjoyed it. Got to spend 8 hours with Alex. Then I got to spend time with this team. Then we did everything else, and then now we're going back out there this year for our second year. So be really excited to see where that's going to take us. Been really cool. Alex, just chill dude, super cool, been fun. Yeah, I enjoyed it out there for sure. And he's so smart, and just like taking what he thinks that if he owned the company, what he would do with my company. And yeah, it's definitely was a game changer for us for sure.
It's amazing. That's amazing.
It is. Yeah, it was really cool. And then like to wrap this thing up, talk a little bit about Dallas for next year. I know got the Pest World stuff coming on. Sounds like maybe not. I wanna.
No, I'm in. I told Matt. I texted Matt, and I was texting with Alan last week, and I was like, "Hey, I told Matt, save me a bed
Yeah,
with you guys."
that's awesome. And they're like, "What do you guys think of John?" I'm like, "Dude, everything that I know so far has been awesome." So everyone's really excited to have you there. Don't want to spoil whether you're going to be there, whether you're going to be there or not. See what happens. But yeah, it's exciting. Now you said you flew out last year, met with Matt, went to go see Matt's dad's car collection.
Yeah.
How was that?
Awesome.
Did you take a tour of the facility too?
Yeah. So that was cool. And bless my wife's heart. Like so I had a U group meeting in North Carolina. And so I flew in, I hung out with those guys, and then I went over to Greenville and hung out with Chase Hazelwood for a couple of hours, just me and him on a Friday afternoon, toured his place. And then the next day went over to Raleigh and hung out with, I had dinner with, my boy, from the other podcast, Donnie Shelton. And it was just it was the Pest Control tour last summer. That was super fun. Hey, do you mind if I ask you a question?
Absolutely.
Okay. Performance pay. What's your, are you guys production? What do you guys do over there?
Yeah, we do all performance pay. Everything that we do from every aspect of the company, from sales to CSR to technicians, even to my management. At least some form of production pay, like at 30% of their pay. They're on a salary too because they're C-suite executives, but 30% of their salary is performance based. So I was in the Carpenters Union a long time ago. Again, as a young kid, great. It was good to work for them. And I was the greenhorn. I get it. I was a young kid. I was doing all the grunt work. I get it. Like, I totally get it. But I will say this. Even though they were very talented, because they're very good craftsmen. I'll give them that. God dang, were they lazy. And it drove me nuts. And so my philosophy, I always said from that day, if I ever started a company, I don't care if you've been for 30 years or 5 years, may the best man win. And that's just what I created. So that's what I did in our company. Across the board, everyone has performance-based pay, even myself. If we don't hit our KPIs, that's just what it is. Like, let the best man or female win. So that's what we do. And if you haven't done performance pay, you're thinking about doing performance pay, are you going to lose some people? Probably. And I would say that make sure that the month that you do test it out, or a couple weeks you test it out, again, lesson learned, make sure there's not a holiday day in there, because even though there's a holiday pay, their pay would have been smaller to begin with. When you launch it, just make sure there's not a holiday pay where they're not going to be working because they're like, oh, I made less money, I don't want to do this. So I just say, if you're testing it out, make sure that you pick a full month, say, hey, this is what your pay is now. This is what your pay would be. Let's test it out for a month, and whichever way you like, we'll pay you that way. 9.9% of the time, they're going to be like, yeah, let's go that route, except for the people who are the bottom feeders anyway. And I'm not saying that everyone has to be paid the same way. Maybe you have some older guys that do a little bit of different things, and not everyone's pay comp has to be the exact same structure. And you can have technicians that are paid differently, but we try to push everyone towards the performance pay, and the level of performance that it did for us was through the roof, like night and day difference. Not only for the company, because we have a baseline of saying, hey, this is what our percentage is going to be every single week, right, for performance base, but also the technicians are making way more money. And then the flip side is like, okay, well, then they're just going to do a crappy job. That's what I hear all the time. And yes, that could very well be true. They could just rip through jobs, get done super fast, and not care. But we call it yellow slip. So if they get a yellow slip and they have to go back there, that's technically on their own time. Yes, they're getting paid an hourly wage, whatever you set that wage at. So it's not like they're not getting paid, but it comes out of their performance pay. Also, let's just say their paycheck for the week was $800. Make this easy. But they got $1,000 on performance pay. So there's $200 worth of bonuses basically, right? Now let's just say they didn't strap down a web pole, or they left their backpack sprayer in the back of the truck and it was their fault, and it rolled out of the back of the truck and busted. well, cool. Like, we're gonna take that $200 off of your paycheck. It's not really a paycheck. You're not taking it out of your paycheck, but you're taking it out of your bonus for that week. And there's a lot of things that we talk about through that, but that's just how we do. So it makes them more accountable to their things. I would never, ever, ever, unless I'm forced to, go back to anything hourly ever. Never. The further that I can get away from the hourly pay, the better that I sleep at night.
Yeah, that's super cool. Cool. Thanks for
And
sharing.
if you
that.
ever want to
That's,
chat offline about it and how we structure, we can do that for sure.
yeah. No, I'll have to definitely get on a call with you and chat some Hormozy stuff. And
Yeah, it was really, really good. Did you do the V3 thing, V2, or anything like that?
I'm doing the basic one, the $35,000 like go out.
Yeah, the V2. Yeah, I think it's VAM2. Yeah, we did V3, which comes with V2. We did that. Then we did like their $10,000, well, it's $5,000 thing, where you go out there and just kind of go through like their workbook. And then I actually brought my CFO with me. So he really liked it, so he could see my side of the world, where I'm coming from. And then now we're gonna do V2 again this year. Yeah, we'll see. I'm really excited. Yeah.
Okay, so I got to ask you, your CFO, is that's an in-house, and where did you pick that person up at? How did you qualify the person?
Yeah, it was actually really cool. So my old company that I started doing like landscaping, lawn care, all that, we were in a mastermind group that I was telling you about. And Brian, my CFO, was actually doing fractional CFO work with one of my friends, Kyle. And we flew out to Washington to go check out Kyle's operation. And so I met Brian for the first time, I don't know, 6-7 years ago. And so I actually brought him in as my fractional CFO to help us with all of our stuff. And then, like, through COVID, transitioned into pest control, started Pest Badger. He still worked with us. And I said, Brian, you're going to work for me someday. And he literally laughed in my face. And he's like, yeah, haha, yeah, right. Because he was working at like a $30 or $40 million. He's a controller for a $30 million construction company. And so he's like, yeah, right. And I was like, well, these are my goals. This is what I'm going to go do. And he's like, whatever. I hear this all the time. And then we went and did it. And he's like, oh, crap. And so then I offered him the job. I actually flew him out here to see if he liked it. He came out, saw what we were doing. He's like, didn't say a whole lot. He's kind of watching, seeing how we operate. He's seen the financial side, things like watch us grow. And then he came out here, and then he flew back home. On his flight back home from Washington, he said, Jonas, whatever you're doing, I want to be a part of it. And he said, I'm all in. And
Very cool.
Yeah, so he had already been working for me for like 5 years, and then came on full time 2 years ago. And best decision I ever made. Like, that guy is so smart. He knows so much about financials. He's forgotten more about financials than I'll ever know. And he set us up in a really, really good place. And not because of me, because that's not my strong suit, and I openly admit that. But that's what he's good at. And I'm good at the sales and marketing, and I'm not good at operations. And I know that about myself. I'm good enough to be dangerous. Like, I know what's going on. But I hired a director of operations before I could afford her. But again, she moved the needle. Brian moved the needle. Every single time I've spent 6 figures or more in person, it's moved the needle big time. So yeah, it's worked out well. And it was a calculated risk, maybe it wasn't, maybe it's so calculated, but I knew where we were headed, and I knew that we needed those people on the team for sure.
Can you do me a favor and just ask your family if they want to go to Hawaii?
They already do. They've been asked, because I take my girls on a trip every single year, and my sister. And my youngest is 6, just turned 7. And the goal for this year was to go to Hawaii. And I was like, I don't know if my youngest could make it that far. We went to California last year. We were on a plane. And so how far of a flight is it from California to Hawaii?
It's like 5 hours that way, and then maybe 4 hours the other way.
Yeah, so that's not terrible. So maybe they would love it, though, because they're already asking. I was like, I just don't know if my youngest could make it that far. But maybe if we did like a red-eye flight where she could sleep, it'd work out pretty good, you know?
Yeah. Usually red-eye, you're coming home red-eye.
Gotcha. But they're already asking, so I'd be down. Like, I think it'd be so cool. And every time we go on a trip, like, honest, I'll be candid with the whole, with the podcast. Like, every time we go on a family trip, there's a little bit of business in there too, you know, for a day where I go talk with meet up with a pest control company or a lawn care company, and we're doing podcasts or doing whatever, like there's always a day of that, but they're used to it and they just kind of do their thing or come with. But yeah, they would love Hawaii. I would love Hawaii.
Cool.
Yeah, well, we're 2.5 hours into this thing, which I knew would probably happen. I told you from day one, like from the first time, like I don't know. I think usually like 45 minutes to an hour, but knowing you and I, it's probably going to be a longer one. You're like, okay, well, I'll take the rest of the day and save it for us. So, John Speed, you're a stud. I appreciate everything you've done for the industry. I appreciate what you're still doing. Like, it's going to be really, really fun to watch what you've do in the next 3 to 5 years with California and new adventures you're going on. Thanks for bringing so much value to the podcast, to myself. And I just really appreciate your time and the new friendship. It's going to be fun.
Yeah, for sure, man. Thanks so much for having me. It's been awesome. And yeah, we'll talk soon.
Yeah. And
Get up in the air.
I'll see you. Yeah, I'm going to try and we'll definitely see you in Dallas for sure.
Yeah.
All right, buddy. Talk to you soon.
Cool, man. All right. Have a good one. Thank you.
Hey guys, thanks for listening to another episode of Pest Control Millionaire. We don't charge any money for the show, but the podcast isn't free. Please like and subscribe and give us a 5-star review in your favorite podcast app. This makes a huge difference for us. If you have any specific questions about your business or your personal life that you'd like answered by me or any of my podcast guests, please send an email to info@pestcontrolmillionaire.com. And if you want to get in touch with me about our marketing class, we do a live version every Thursday night. Check out our website at pestcontrolmillionaires.com. Thank you guys for listening. I'll see you guys in the next one.